Hi, Sandy. Absolutely lovely to see you again. Thanks for coming on and chatting with me. I know you want to get a message over today about what's happening with the World Heritage status that's going on here. They want to try and get this status for Glastonbury, but there is a little bit maybe of a hidden agenda here that people don't know about, and I don't know about myself. So I'd love to find out more. And without further ado, Sandy, I'm going to hand over to you.
Oh, thanks very much. I'll just bring myself in. Right. I just want to really go through the uh what World Heritage really means for the future of Glastonbury, because we've got a meeting coming up, and I'll show a slide of that at the end to advertise it. But basically, we've got I've put together a few slides because there's a lot of information to really digest on all of this. And there is, it seems to me that there's a pattern here that the World Heritage sounds very, very worthy because a lot of money is pumped into an area, and usually it's a sacred site, or it might be an arts city, somewhere like Florence or Venice, or somewhere that is very big on arts and culture. And other places it's spirituality, or it might be just, just a the fact that it's an interesting place like Bath historically. So what World Heritage tends to do, and let's not forget, it is run by UNESCO, which is the educational and arts arm of the UN. Now, I think people know what I feel about the UN because of my work with Agenda 2030, well, Agenda 21 at first, and then it became Agenda 2030, and where it's taking our world. And in my view, it's not just my view, it's the research I've done that I'm just trying to bring to the people of Glastonbury, and particularly the working group and the council, because they just think we're a bunch of nut jobs who are spreading conspiracy. And I will lay that and actually make people realize, or get people to realize, that actually there are facts behind all the research that we've been doing. And a lot of us have been doing it. And we're not nut jobs. We're doing the research, and it seems to me that people don't want to listen, particularly people who've got a vested interest in getting World Heritage here to bring more money to the town. And that is what they say, but it's actually bring the corporate world into our town, and that's what I really want to highlight. And the fact that it's all about human computation and the digitalization of tourism. So and how it is really all on apps. You're actually with the technology the whole time, and it is literally almost like a network, a global network, and it will bring masses of tourism to the town, which often they can't cope with. And then what they do is they bring in measures to control the tourism. So anyway, it's a lot to unpack. So I'm just going to go through the slides, if I may.
Take it away.
Right. Can you I'll start so I am screen sharing. So you can see the first slide, yeah?
Yes.
Right. Well, this is really about the World Heritage status and the future of Glastonbury. It's tourism governance, digital management, and community impact. And we're just going to be looking at all that. So, Glastonbury, what is it? Well, it's a living spiritual town. So it's an ancient pilgrimage centre, sacred landscape, connecting to the Tor, the Abbey, and other sacred sites within the town. Um, it's a community shaped by spirituality and tradition. I mean, it's got the first Christian, the bones of the first Christian church here. Lots and lots of traditions, lots of different religions and things going on, and it's a living culture, not simply a heritage monument. So that's what we're looking at now. UNESCO require for World Heritage, each nominated property should have an appropriate management system or plan or documented management system. So this is what they require. They need to have everything managed and digitized. So this is what the UNESCO World Heritage operational guidelines say. Anyway, it's a document you can find. Um, Now, there's three major documents that connect the dots much more clearly. We've got the United Nations World Tourist Office, which is there. It's an office of tourism, and they've got governance frameworks. We've then got the EU Smart Tourism document, which is destination and policy. And then we've got the UNESCO visitor management policies for heritage sites. So all these together show how digital systems and over-tourism narratives can justify access control in historic places. Now, this is what it's all about. It's not about conservation. That's what they sell it to you as. It is really about access control in historic places and data access. So I'm just, going through this quite quickly, and it's quite a lot to take in, I know. Now, as you can see, the UN Tourism Governance Framework. Now, you can see from these, this is all put out by the United Nations World Tourist Office, Digital Transformation in Tourism and Hospitality. I'm just proving that this isn't some kind of weird conspiracy theory that we're putting forward. And then you've got the Technology in Tourism document. And I can put these on my website so you can look at these further. Now, the UN Tourism Digital Transformation, this is what they talk about, harnessing data and digital technologies to improve tourism destination management. It really is like herding cattle, and that's how I see it. It's a way of digitalizing people, harvesting their data, where they are, what they're doing, who they are, everything in one place, and literally herding people around and managing the flow of traffic through a town. So this is the UN Tourism Digital Transformation Strategy. They actually have all this in place to kick off whenever they want. So we've also got the smart tourism from the EU, the EU Guide on Data for Tourism Destinations. So all of this is proving that we're not mad. It does actually all go back to digital technology and the infrastructure that they want to bring in globally, everywhere, but particularly in tourism, and for a very good reason. And I'll get to that a bit later. So yeah, we've got, with the EU smart tourism destinations, they talk about smart tourism and the tools to improve the visitor flow management, European Capital of Smart Tourism Initiative. So there's even a prize for the smart tourism capital. Now, I want to say also that we did talk we had a consultation way back a long time ago, actually. I think it was May, I can't remember, at the town hall. And a lot of the consultants were showing up on the screen the 17 goals of sustainable goals of the United Nations. And when we quizzed them, they said, oh, no, we're not nothing to do with the United Nations, but they had the goals up there on the screen. And I just want to, just say that actually they are achieving the sustainable development goals through tourism. And this is again from the United Nations World Tourism Office. And there you have the 17 goals down there. So we're not, sort of inventing conspiracy. So UNESCO Tourism Management Guidance, they say visitor numbers may need to be limited through pricing, zoning, and other management tools. Managing tourism at the World Heritage Sites, this is UNESCO. So they have plans to sort of monitor, and people might say, well, that's very good. But what they do is they make a massive influx at the very first stage. And I'll go through these stages, and then it becomes the problem reaction solution. Then they have to put monitoring in and all the surveillance that goes in with it. So it's kind of like one of those problem reaction solution scenarios. Now, I'm just putting up the 17 goals here because this is the UN Tourism Office is now called UN Tourism. It used to be called the United Nations World Tourism Office, but they just rebranded it as this circle of the 17 goals with tourism in the centre. So we know they're aligned with the 17 goals and with the UN Agenda 2030. So when these frameworks combine, you get heritage recognition increases the global visibility of a particular town. And then the tourism numbers grow rapidly. And I've got examples of this later on in the PowerPoint. Authorities introduce visitor management systems. Digital tools allow real-time monitoring of visitor flows. So they're data harvesting you all the time that you are visiting these sites. And when you've got a load of Japanese tourists, Chinese tourists, American tourists, they've got their apps and they are literally being herded around like cattle and literally data harvested at the same time. So this becomes a sort of, with all these digital tools that allow real-time monitoring of flows, it becomes problem reaction solution, because it starts out with it being visitors too much visibility, and then when the numbers grow, they introduce these systems and more technology goes into that town to monitor the systems. And so that's the way they're kind of doing it. So the next one is now I've got a couple of case studies here. And what happened in certain places. Now, this is a case study of Dubrovnik. Now, as you know, it's in Eastern Europe. It's a UNESCO heritage city facing over-tourism. They've got visitor caps introduced in historic centre, monitoring systems that track entry numbers into the city, and the local population declined within the city walls. So local people were forced out, and it became a much more corporate, people in hotels and other sort of Airbnbs or whatever. So what changed in Dubrovnik? Well, it's a medieval city on the Adriatic coast. It became a World Heritage Site in 1979, and for many years it remained a normal living town with residents inside the historic walls. So what changed? Well, cruise ship tourism expansion made it more popular. Global media exposure, international heritage promotion, and visitor numbers grew to over 1 million a year, far beyond the resident population. And so the response from the over-tourism was that the authorities began implementing strict visitor management measures. These included visitor caps, and later this was they capped it at I think it was 8,000 at a time, which is still quite a lot. And then they reduced it to 4,000. But with that came the surveillance monitoring. So the city installed cameras and monitoring systems to track visitor numbers entering the old town. And authorities could count people moving through the gates. So they actually had gates, barriers that people were herded through like cattle. So this is what kind of happens. You get digital monitoring, timed entry systems, and crowd management. And the local people, the social impact is that you get rising property prices, conversion of homes into tourist rentals, and the disappearance of everyday services. So the shops become very tourist oriented. So the key lesson here is, it's a shift from a living community to a controlled tourist destination, which is really taking a lot away from the people and the culture. So that's Dubrovnik. I'll move on now to somewhere. Here we are, Hallstatt. Now, Hallstatt is a tiny sort of village of about 800 residents. And more than 1 million tourists come through there annually. So it's tiny. So tour bus limits were introduced, and residents report disruption to their daily lives. Now, what happened there? The village became extremely popular with international tourists. The visitors' numbers reach, again, over 1 million a year. Local complaints included overcrowded streets, constant tour buses, disruption to daily life, and loss of community character. You can imagine, I mean, it's like an onslaught, isn't it? So the government response was they limited the tour buses, visitor caps again, stricter tourism management policies. But again, they brought in all the infrastructure to monitor everybody. So it seems like a playbook. And then the next one quickly is Venice. Now, this is interesting because Venice has been designated as an arts they call it an arts city, not a smart city but an arts city, but it works exactly the same way as a smart city because all the infrastructure goes in, because it's all about elitism and culture. And I'll be getting on to that about elitism in a second about Venice, because something very interesting happened there a couple of years ago. So we've, what happened, access fees were introduced for day visitors, digital registration and QR codes and permits for people to make sure you've paid, monitoring of visitor flows, and historic spaces occasionally closed for exclusive events, which I'll be getting onto in a minute. So what happened is they had this fee entry system where visitors entering the city on certain days must pay access fees and register online. Visitors receive QR codes to prove that they've paid. Authorities conduct spot checks and can issue fines. So they also had Serco security, sort of monitoring everything on certain events anyway. Historic city centres can evolve towards permission-based access systems once tourism pressures become severe. So this is what the case studies show. It means really that oh dear, I've gone too far now. Never mind. Yeah, it just shows that across multiple heritage locations, similar patterns sort of appears. Heritage recognition increases global visibility. Then the tourism grows rapidly again, and the authorities introduce visitor management policies. So let's just move on now to what happened a couple of years ago is the billionaire city rental phenomenon on sort of as a symbol of capture. And it was when Jeff Bezos married his girlfriend, and he took over. He literally bought Venice, the whole of Venice, for a few days, and everybody that lived there were not able to go to certain areas of the town, of the city, and it was unbelievable. I'll just go into that a little bit more. Yeah, he literally managed to buy. I think we've already seen that slide. Let's go back to Jeff Bezos. Here we go. He managed to buy the whole city because he's a billionaire, and he put security and geofencing around the whole city. The people were not able to access the city, the people that lived there. They had to stay in their homes virtually. And there was a big reaction against this because it just seemed like their city had been taken from them for a few days. And this huge event happened, this massive elite event. And some of the locals actually bought blow up crocodiles and blew them up and put them in the canals to stop all the because you can only get there by boat, to stop all the boats, and he had to go around a different way, and they disrupted it anyway because it was literally some kind of elite takeover of their city, and it really is unbelievable that can happen in these days. So let's have a look. Yeah, what happens? Sorry, there we go. You get rising house prices in historic centres, short-term rentals replacing homes, local shops replaced by tourism retail, and residents moving away from historic districts. So it does become very, very much a corporate management system where the people aren't really taken into consideration, the indigenous people of those areas. The resulting policy ecosystem means that historic cities can end up being governed through interconnected frameworks that influence planning, heritage protection zones, tourism, visitor flow management, environment, transport restrictions, technology, and smart city monitoring systems. So this is all, feeding into Agenda 2030. Now, what I've been looking at just recently is virtual tourism and the digital heritage, because in lockdown, uh, certain certain companies developed massive technology to bring in digital tourism, because if you're locked up, you can't go anywhere. So this whole digital thing emerged, this whole kind of industry. And I'm just going to go into that very, very quickly. You've got 360-degree virtual tours of heritage sites, online museum exhibitions, immersive cultural heritage platforms, educational access to historic locations. Sorry, I'll just get rid of that. Cancel. Um, so you've got the emerging discussion on metaverse tourism. Now, this is almost the way I see that this could easily go, and let's hope we don't get to this stage. But digital replicas of destinations are being made, and that's why they're putting all these infrastructures in. Immersive virtual environments, hybrid physical and virtual travel experiences, and it's still an experimental concept in tourism innovation, but it's getting massive funding. So you've got virtual reality headsets or augmented reality experiences, digital heritage reconstruction of historic sites, remote museum and cultural tours, and these online immersive tours. So the questions for Glastonbury: how would tourism growth be managed, and what governance structures would be created? How would digital tourism systems be used? And how will the living community be protected? These are all very valid points. And, two possible futures are a living spiritual town shaped by its community, or a globally branded heritage tourism destination. The decision requires informed public discussion. Local voices should guide the outcome, to be honest. And we have had a working group for the last year, but it's been very biased at creating what I think, and a lot of others think, is manufactured consent. The real voices of Glastonbury haven't been heard. We've been dismissed as mad conspiracy theorists, and also saying that we're aggressive because we wouldn't allow certain things to be happening at some of the meetings, because it was all being steered, and we didn't like that, and quite rightly. So yes, we have been branded as mad conspiracy theorists, but I really hope that we can dispel that with this particular PowerPoint. And also on Sunday, this Sunday, March the 8th, we've got a meeting of our new Residents Association, but we're not calling it that. It's called People of Glastonbury. And it is in the Methodist Church in Glastonbury between 3 and 6 in Lambrook Street at the Methodist Church Hall. And it's what is the People of Glastonbury? What is Glastonbury? It's a pilgrimage destination versus mainstream tourist destination. So we're going to be talking about all this, and I'm going to try and get this out so that when I'm there at the meeting, I can direct them towards this particular presentation, because it helps you to understand the bigger picture. So that is it, actually. So I'll stop sharing. There we go. And I'm back. Is that me back? Oh, I can't hear you.
Schoolboy error. I had my mute button on. But no, that's great and really, really informative, that Sandy. And yeah, I can see how this can go. I mean, I guess with Stonehenge, not so many years ago, it was free to attend, wasn't it? And
It was. And then you've now got a visitors centre that is all, kind of touristy crap. Sorry to say that word, but touristy stuff they're selling. And you're sort of, the prices went sky high. I think for a family to visit Stonehenge now, it's £85, for a family ticket. And it's a very expensive day out, considering that we used to be able to walk around and even touch the stones if we wanted to. But I know that that is a problem in itself because of erosion and what have you. But it suddenly became a very, very different place where it wasn't, people can't access it for any spiritual kind of things that they want to do, or indeed just for a nice day. So I think we've just, and I think, we've noticed it even in Glastonbury. The Abbey underwent a transformation. They had a lot of money given to them by the town deal, and most people have gone, "What's happened to the Abbey?" Because the gift shop it hasn't got local stuff in it anymore. It hasn't even got any religious artifacts in it anymore. It's all just secular, touristy stuff. Just tack really.
It
So
sounds
yeah,
it sounds like in danger of ripping the heart and soul out of
yeah,
Glastonbury, as you say, from
yeah,
pilgrimage destination to some
yeah,
kind of corporate uh, dystopia. It's like,
yeah,
because it frightens me with there's a lot of talk of the smart cities and all the rest of it for
yeah.
that's involved with the Agenda 2030. But the very thought that at some point you might have to visit Glastonbury through 3D goggles or something is
Yeah,
just
I know. I mean,
horrendous.
that you see, in the whole scheme of things, because I've been studying this for such a long time, I know what the final agenda is, and it is to restrict our movement and not have us flying in planes and not have us driving in cars. And so, in a way, it serves them to make everything, every sacred site, every amazing place in the world available digitally, because then we can sit in our little smart city apartment with the drone dropping the Amazon parcel off, and you can experience your holiday in the virtual. I mean, it's absolutely horrendous. So that's kind of what they want. So,
Absolutely. And I think,
I, oh,
you,
go on.
sorry, I was going to say you have got a video that you sent me earlier, which kind of shows that. Is that something?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is at the extreme end, but it is actually in the World Office of Tourism, the UN Office of Tourism, is exploring all this technology. So that is a bit of a worry. Yeah.
Imagine a world where the boundaries of tourism are redefined. Welcome to the era of virtual tourism, the latest frontier in the tourism industry. Why this shift? Firstly, it's about accessibility. Now, the pyramids of Giza or the Northern Lights are just a click away. Everyone can experience these wonders without leaving their homes. Secondly, it's about sustainability, offering a green alternative to traditional travel. And let's not forget the diverse experiences on offer, from historical reenactments to futuristic space tours. But what about the economy? Virtual tourism opens up new revenue streams, from virtual tours to digital souvenirs. It creates jobs for virtual tour guides and digital content creators. It fosters partnerships and collaborations between traditional travel agencies and tech firms. Industry insights show that interest in virtual travel experiences is high. The global virtual events market, including virtual tourism, is expected to reach over $400 billion by 2027. At BizTech, we're harnessing the power of the metaverse to revolutionize industries, providing businesses in the tourism sector with immersive and realistic experiences. Virtual tourism isn't a trend, it's the future. The economic opportunities are vast and varied. Embrace the metaverse now and set your business up for unparalleled success. Welcome to the future of tourism.
Bit scary, that, isn't it?
It is a bit.
That was made quite a few years ago. If you look at the date on it, it was made quite a long time ago. I think it was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Yeah. So yeah, it is a big I think I can just imagine Peter Thiel and all that lot investing in all of that, So yeah,
All
we've
part
got
of the plan. Well,
And that is why we can't let it happen in Glastonbury, because what happens in Glastonbury apparently reverberates around the world. So if we can stop it, others can.
absolutely. Well, I wish you all the best with it, Sandy, and thanks for letting me know and opening my eyes to what's going on with all this as well, because I had no idea about this World Heritage status coming to
Yeah.
Glastonbury. So yeah, I hope it's attended well, and yeah, I'll get an update from you next week, no doubt.
Bless you. Thanks so much,
Thank you.
Al. Bye
Thanks.
bye.